Welcome back to The Explainer, Focused Learners. Today, we're tackling what is honestly the ultimate challenge, upgrading your study system so you can actually balance your classes, a part-time job, and yes, believe it or not, an actual social life, all without completely burning out. If you've ever felt like there just aren't enough hours in the day, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to build a perfect schedule, and we're using science-backed techniques to do it.
Okay, let's dive right into this. Here's how we're breaking it down today. First, we'll look at the 24-hour student dilemma, then how to protect your focus with the Pomodoro technique, followed by studying smarter, not longer. After that, we'll uncover the spaced repetition secret, and finally, we'll pull it all together to build your perfect schedule.
Section 1. The 24-hour student dilemma. Okay, so we've literally all been there, right? You're hunched over your textbooks, highlighting in like 3 different colors, rereading the exact same chapter for the 4th time. But by exam day, it is just a total blur. You kind of feel like you've sacrificed your entire personal life for absolutely zero academic return. So I have to ask, why do these marathon study sessions fail so hard? Why does cramming for 6 hours straight leave you exhausted but empty-handed? Well, it comes down to cognitive science. Our brains simply aren't built for endless, unbroken focus. Your attention naturally fades, and just trying to push through it, it actually leads to massive diminishing returns. So, the very first step to reclaiming your 24 hours is recognizing that study time is definitely not created equal. We've got to ditch those low-yield, passive habits. Things like rereading your notes, highlighting pages of text, and late-night cramming. I know they feel super productive in the moment, but they deliver very little value. We have to replace those with high-yield, active alternatives. I'm talking about active recall, summarizing concepts in your own words, and using spaced repetition over a period of weeks. Honestly, making this mental shift is the absolute foundation of getting your free time back.
Section 2. Protect focus with the Pomodoro.
And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why this matters. A massive 2025 meta-analysis by Stinchcombe and colleagues at Oklahoma State University looked at medical students, who are, let's face it, some of the most time-crunched learners on the planet. And what they found was a total game changer. They proved that integrating active learning and structured time management strategies significantly enhances not just academic performance, but your psychological well-being too. It turns out managing your time effectively directly reduces burnout and regulates your academic stress. So let's talk about our first major time management upgrade. Fun fact, the Pomodoro technique was actually named after a cute little tomato-shaped kitchen timer back in the 1980s. Here is exactly how you execute it. Step 1, choose a single task and set your timer for 25 minutes of intense, totally distraction-free work. Step 2, when that timer rings, take a 5-minute break. Stand up, stretch, grab some water. Step 3, repeat that work-rest cycle 4 times. And step 4, after 4 rounds, you reward yourself with a much longer 15 to 30-minute break. These short and tense bursts keep your brain fully engaged and prevent the mental fatigue that makes studying feel impossible. Now, the science behind these timer-enforced breaks is really fascinating. A classic 1948 study by Norman Mackworth showed that our performance drops by a whopping 15 to 30% after just 20 to 30 minutes on a task. Plus, cognitive science points to something called the Zeigarnik effect. It sounds like a sci-fi villain, I know, but it actually just means that we tend to remember interrupted tasks way better than completed ones. Taking that 5-minute rest clears out your short-term memory and forces long-term memory plasticity. It basically makes jumping right back into your workflow incredibly easy. Section 3. Study smarter, not longer. All right, now that our time management hardware is installed, let's upgrade our study software. Research consistently shows that students who practice active recall outperform those who just reread their notes by a factor of 50% or more on retention tests. 50%! That is huge. Active recall just means closing the textbook and forcing your brain to retrieve the information on its own. It's exactly like training a muscle. Making your brain work hard to find a piece of information now literally trains it to find that information so much faster on exam day. And one of the absolute best ways to set yourself up for active recall is during your initial note-taking phase. Take the Cornell method, which has been around since the 1950s. It literally forces active thinking. You take your main notes in that large right column, but the real magic happens in the left, where you prompt yourself to write questions based on those notes. Then, the bottom section forces you to actively pause and summarize the page's main ideas entirely in your own words. It's brilliant because it transforms basic notes into an instant, highly effective study guide. Now, what's really interesting to compare here is that while Cornell notes are fantastic for heavy lectures, the subtopic box method is perfect if you need visual organization. You simply draw distinct boxes for each subtopic, and you summarize key points from individual lectures right into their respective boxes. By the end of it, you've got this incredibly structured, highly visual summary page for an entire course. It makes your future revision sessions ridiculously efficient.
Section 4, the spaced repetition secrets. Okay, this is the ultimate secret software for studying less frequently, but remembering significantly more. To get it, we first have to understand the forgetting curve. Discovered by psychologist Hermann Ebbinghaus, this formula basically proves that human memories fade at a highly predictable rate over time. If you learn something today, a massive chunk of it will literally be gone by tomorrow. But spaced repetition exploits this curve. The goal is to review material at increasing intervals, stepping in to reset that forgetting clock right when you are about to forget the information. This is how you build rock-solid, long-term retention. A fantastic way to actually schedule this is the 2-3-5-7 method. It's highly recommended for planning out your revision sessions right before an exam. Here's how it flows. 1 day after learning the material, use active recall to test yourself. 3 days later, test yourself again. Maybe try the blurting method, where you just write down everything you can possibly remember on a blank page. 5 days later, review the material once more. And then 7 days later, keep testing, but heavily focus on the specific concepts you're still struggling with. It intercepts that forgetting curve perfectly.
And the best part? You really don't have to manage this complicated schedule manually. We have amazing digital tools that do the heavy lifting for us now. Anki is an absolute powerhouse for this. It uses adaptive algorithms for your flashcards. If a card is easy, it pushes it days into the future, but if it's hard, you'll see it again in minutes. Then there's NoteLenedI, which is brilliant for the initial capture. It processes audio recordings or PDFs into transcripts, structured summaries, and fleeting notes, saving you hours. And of course, Quizlet remains a totally solid option for automating your review schedules. Seriously, just let the software manage the calendar for you.
Section 5, building your perfect schedule.
So the crucial point is, how do we actually fit all of this into a real 24-hour day while still balancing classes, a part-time job, and having a life? Well, before we calendar block a single thing, we have to establish the ultimate anchor: 7 to 9 hours of sleep. Never, ever pull an all-nighter. Sleep isn't just passive downtime. While you're in slow wave and REM sleep, your brain is actively replaying and strengthening those neural patterns you formed during the day. It's physically transferring that information from short-term to long-term memory. Skimping on sleep impairs memory consolidation just as badly as being intoxicated. Always protect your sleep first. All right, here is how you actually calendar block your success for the week. Before a study session, choose one crystal clear objective and set that 25-minute Pomodoro timer. These short blocks slot perfectly into your daily calendar, right alongside your work shifts and social plans. During the session, lean into active recall. Close the book and retrieve the knowledge. And make sure to interleave or mix up your topics so you aren't doing the exact same thing for hours on end. After the session, take a couple of minutes to add those key concepts into Anki or Quizlet. And weekly, sit down, do a massive brain dump of everything you've learned, review your automated flashcard queue, and block out your upcoming week. This way, you never have to guess when it's time to work, or more importantly, when it's time to relax. It's repeatable, it's efficient, and it completely protects your free time. So there you have it. We've covered the Pomodoro technique, active recall, Cornell notes, and automated spaced repetition. You now have the exact toolkit you need to protect your focus, elevate your grades, and still have plenty of time for your friends and that part-time job. The science is completely in your hands now. So I'll leave you with this final provocative thought. Moving forward, will you manage your time, or will you let time manage you? The choice is absolutely yours. Thanks for joining me on The Explainer, and keep learning out there.